in another breath, we're talking about the disqualification of George Afriyie.
Yes.
Now, we read the letter. It's dated 28 August. It has stated that it's flowing from the vetting process that took place on the 21st of August. Now, the reasons that have been stated have to do with the names that were listed on the nomination form per the Ghana Football Association statute as 2019. What is supposed to happen is that a member of the GFA is supposed to propose your candidature, and you are supposed to have 5 more supporting it. Now, from the list, it seems that there's one Jeffrey Asare that's a little problematic because he was stated to be, was it the director of, Victory?
Yeah.
But that appears not to be the case. And in the letter, they have actually detailed their findings in there. But another curious point is the fact of Nana Ameyaomenu, whose statutory declaration was in there, but his name is not listed on the nomination form per the letter. And right now, they've given George Afriyie up to what? Monday. Basically, 11 for the entire appeal process.
Yeah.
Ibrahim, from where you sit, what are his options currently?
I think that his options, first of all, let me put this disclaimer across. George is a very, very close friend of mine.
Right.
I like
So
the smile.
it's difficult for me to, speak about his candidature in a way that might, perhaps come across to his people as, negative. But I also have to state that personally I've had a relationship with Kurt since childhood.
Okay.
For about 9, 12 years, we spent morning, afternoon, evenings together.
Right.
And it's put me in a very, very difficult condition. I have to put it on record that I made a comment somewhere, and a few of George's people called me and said, you have a relationship with this man. You don't have to say it. We owe it upon the people that, we communicate to tell them the truth as it is. So this disclaimer has been settled. Let me just go straight to the point.
Yep.
The point is that the law is the law, regardless of who it affects. If it is that Jeff, who's also my friend, is not a director and is signed on to be a director, then there's a problem. We have to follow the law as it is.
Yep.
Let's not twist it. But George is not the only person that has suffered under this. Alhaji Akambi has suffered.
Yes.
Several other people have suffered. And I understand that, because it's a presidential election, there will be attention on George.
Yeah.
But the truth is that if the law is the law, let the law be applied and let it be applied fairly. My preference would have been that George should face Kurt at the polls and would have settled it. But if the law has been broken and the people at the committee feel that the law has been broken, George has an opportunity to go for appeal.
Yeah.
Even if he is not satisfied with the appeal, he can go to CAS. What I don't want is for football matters to be taken to ordinary law courts.
Right.
And I think that from my observation of how FIFA has behaved in the past 6 months or so, they are beginning to crack the whip on people that go beyond the football law. I think there was a little bit of relaxation of that law, but events in Kenya where Nick Mwenda, who was the FA president, was kicked out through a politically motivated machination, and FIFA sticking by him. And then just last week, you remember, the FA president of Mali, Mr. Mamutu, is sitting in prison at the moment. FIFA supervised his re-election. He was sitting in prison. He won an election from prison. It tells us that FIFA is now bent on implementing that decision not to allow any external factors to do this thing. So my advice to George would be that follow the football system, go through the appeal process, and he's done that, and I've not heard him attack the football system, as somebody who would be frustrated will do. Let him follow the processes, and I hope that justice will prevail.
Right. Now, Sani, before you go, I feel like your appreciation of the issues helps the people out there to understand.
Yes.
I've heard so much commentary about it, even though I tweeted what the terms are and why George has been told to get back, do his things properly and get back into the election fray. It just feels like many people have a perception of what the GFA should be and what it should do. And so the moment George gets a letter like that, then everybody flares up and everybody, goes around saying, oh, it's because Kurt wants to be alone and that's the reason why he's... But I feel like the education, like you've done, goes a long way to help many people to understand what the issues are. And so on a certain front, I feel like maybe the education should be decentralized in many ways.
I think so. And, one thing that should have been done perhaps was that maybe perhaps even us as the media should do a decent job of explaining things to the public.
Because if you read the letter, it's quite complex. If you don't understand the basic legal principles, you may not necessarily understand why they're saying nomination form, statutory declaration, this name was not there, this name was there. You may not necessarily understand what it is.
So this is where I call on my colleagues in the media that I find something very, very nauseating in Ghana, where you find somebody wakes up in the morning, newspaper reviews, they call them. The person is an expert in the country's politics, he's an expert in economics, he's an expert in football, he's an expert in everything, one person. But meanwhile, we've got experts sitting in universities all across the country. Why don't we speak with them? Let's speak with the experts in the football legal fray. But people would just be emotional and just say things like that. It happened during President Kwesi Nyantechi's time when Odotai was disqualified. Neil Armstrong was disqualified. In Neil's case, Neil wrote this man, I met him, Kamara. Kamarat in Kumasi. He traveled all the way from Accra to go to Kumasi to get Kamarat to sign his documents. Kamarat was not available. Then he wrote Kamarat's name, he didn't sign. He took the form there, the people disqualified him, people were shouting. You see? So these are some of the things people must explain. Let's not be emotional. Let's go speak to the letter, speak to the law. Let people explain to us and let us see that, this is the law. If you meet the law, you go for the election. If you don't meet the law, you are out. It's not about care to Kreku this. Has the law been violated? You just remove the individuals from it. What about Akambi?
Exactly.
It's true.
Akambi is somebody who has publicly come out to say that I want Kurt. And Akambi is also a friend of Kurt, a childhood friend of Kurt. Kurt would want him to be there. He wants Kotoko and Haas to be on the ESCO. But since the law has affected the person, what do? There's nothing you can do. So let's get legal people. When these issues come, we as the media must be just to the issues at hand. Let's call the people with the knowledge, with the expertise. Madam is seated here. She's a legal brain. You can call her and say, TV3, Kawawa, today, madam, come here, explain to us what this means. So she can explain to us, the ordinary people, so we can understand. But they'll just say, oh, I didn't know, and now,
you raise a very crucial point, because even as a lawyer, you may have to be an expert in a particular field before you can speak on it. It's marine law, there's a wide range of things. I mean, thank you so much, Ibrahim, for joining us here today. I think that it's been very insightful, and you've managed to explain, the nuance between being diligent, being honest about your opinion, but still maintaining just basic human empathy for things. And I think that is very key for our message on Warmer Plus. Here, it's not just entertainment, lifestyle, fitness. It's just, morality, values. We are educating you on how to be a better human being here on Warmer Plus. Thank you so much, Ibrahim, for joining us. Thank you to the chef of fitness. We'll take a little breather here. When we come back, like I said earlier, a special lady is in the house. Stay tuned. Don't you dare go anywhere.